lot of stupid political drama wrapped around it, and I think people need to like calm down and not think about the bike in those terms and actually think about it as a bike. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that little dent in the road where that like little there's a water stopcock was, that was sharp, hurty. I definitely did not like bounce off of that. Such a pleasure to ride. And I'm really looking forward to like advances in electric motorbike technology. Obviously the biggest advance that would be possible in electric bike technology is not having me as a rider. But unfortunately, electric motorbikes are going to have to put up with that for some time to come. I'm not sure that range is going to go up all that much, to be honest. The main problem there is really aerodynamics rather than anything else. And, like, this bike is kind of at the limits of packaging. You could get more range out of this bike by replacing its motor with something more efficient. This is not a particularly efficient motor, mainly because in the grand old tradition of motorcycles, nobody gives a shit about efficiency. Maybe you don't ride motorcycles so you don't understand how this is, like your experiences with cars where everyone's like, oh, how many miles to the gallon does it get? That's one of the reasons why people like complaining about range. I find it like really hilarious, because who cares? It's, I mean, people don't buy motorbikes for that. They don't buy motorbikes for like, oh, how efficient is it? How many miles to the gallon does it get? Nobody cares. They don't even publish CO2 stats for motorbikes. You have to go and look them up and see what third parties have figured out for them. Because motorbikes, generally speaking, are not built for efficiency. Motorbikes are built to go fast, go around corners and have fun. And it's why I find like Zeros a little hilarious, because Zeros are most definitely built for efficiency. Zeros are built by people who think commuting is the zenith of motorcycling. Whoa! Middle of the road is gravelly. Gravel equals slippy. VFR, that'd be a little much to handle. But this thing, the electronic aids kick in and save my butt, and I have left enough margin for safety that I'm okay. See? That's how you do it. I do learn things as I grow older. You know, I've had enough crashes. I could maybe have done with not learning these things the hard way. But I have learned. But yeah, motorcycles aren't built for efficiency, and this bike follows in that tradition. They have not built this bike for efficiency, they've just be like, what's the biggest battery we can get? Right, do that. Motor, okay, what's the good motor? Right, do that. How far does it go? This far. Okay, that'll do. You know? Obviously, it's somewhat more technical than that, but Energica have really taken the philosophy that efficiency doesn't sell motorcycles. Being exciting and fun and having the capability to go fast sells motorcycles. And that is, yeah, like that's the way that you build a motorcycle, and it always will be. There are lots of people who don't like that, but it's true. At least in rich countries, it is true. Because, like here in the UK, very few people use motorcycles as a primary way of getting around. I'm very much the exception in that. And even me, like, I'll happily take a train if the train is going somewhere that I want to go. Like, I'll much rather take a train into London than I will ride. But motorcycles are seen as a leisure vehicle. And the US is like that as well. Even more so, in fact. Motorcycles are leisure vehicles. And if you're going to make a leisure vehicle, you're not going to build it for efficiency. The important thing is, my range is more than what my bladder's range is. And yeah, I do actually think that this is the future of motorcycles. And in terms of developments of motorcycles, like, yeah, I don't think more range is necessarily going to be what we see. Possibly not even more power, to be honest. Certainly not without breakthroughs in battery technology. And there are some of those that are coming down the line, but like CATL, which is one of the biggest battery companies in the world, have basically said, yeah, we're not going to be able to mass manufacture solid state batteries until 2030. So we're basically stuck with lithium-ion batteries until 2030. And even then, like, yeah, okay, you can mass manufacture them in 2030, but yeah, what's the price point going to be? You know, are they going to be available for mass market vehicles, or are they going to be like super premium stuff? So I think lithium ion is going to be where it is for a while. I don't know about LFP, which is a type of lithium ion, incidentally. I don't feel that will be something that motorbikes will adopt, just because of like what motorbikes are. Just give me a bit of a wipe in case you're dirty. I really think the big advance in electric motorbikes is going to be active battery thermal management. So, like, this battery has passive thermal management, where basically, if it gets hot, it relies on like the environment to make it cool again, and it kind of sucks. That's why it can only do 23 kilowatt charging. But if we could do active thermal management of the battery, where basically it has a cooling system that cools it by, like, through direct contact, where the heat conducts into a medium, and then that medium goes through a radiator, then it would be able to charge a lot faster. But the big problem with that is just fitting it into the bike. Like, again, this battery is kind of maxing out the form factor of the motorcycle at the moment. And what we might see from Energica in the future is they do have the smaller capacity battery. And the smaller capacity battery basically has like a different internal construction where more space is given over to conducting heat elements. This is where like more of the battery cells are in contact with the battery box itself, which gives it slightly better thermal performance, but it's still passively cooled. And that's why it's heavy. And it's that battery is an absolute tank of a battery. You can remove quite a bit of mass from it and still have a functional battery. And that's what they did to make the big battery. They took out a lot of those internal elements and squashed in more cells, which gives it worse thermal management, but a bigger capacity. But what they could do is take that smaller battery and put in active cooling into that. And if they could figure that packaging out without going too overboard in the wet, then it might be possible for them to basically say, well, okay, you can have a small battery with active management that will charge super fast, or you can have the big battery and it's going to charge slower, but you get more range out of it. And yeah, that might suit different people. You know, that it might be attractive to me to go with the smaller battery with the faster charging, for instance. But on the flip side, I'm not really feeling all that limited by this battery, to be honest. Mainly it's just like occasionally finding chargers with reasonable legs is an issue. But in terms of feeling like this battery doesn't get me long enough in the saddle, I've not really felt that very much. I think it is going to be very interesting in, what, 3 years' time, when the finance of this bike is all settled, and I start looking at, well, you know, what's out there for my next adventure. How far along will technology have moved? Will there be more competitors? Like, will some of the established manufacturers have started putting out like serious contenders for my money? Apart from Harley, of course, who are an established legacy manufacturer who have an actual competent electric motorcycle. It's not in my style, but from what I can tell, it's a good bike. And Harley Davidson did it. What? I actually really love the Livewire. Just because, like, anytime some established manufacturer is like, oh, well, we can't make an electric motorcycle because this and that and whatever, and you're just like, meh. Harley Davidson can make a good electric motorcycle. Come on. Harley Davidson, surely you're better than them. Because I don't know, if you don't ride motorcycles, like, you probably don't realize this, but Harley Davidson are a joke. Their motorcycles are awful. And like, their tech isn't that old. Like, you know, some of their newer bikes are pretty modern tech-wise, but the way they construct their bikes is so outdated, and some of them have had such wild reliability issues, and like, just, they're such a joke. They really are. They're kind of, I guess they're kind of like, you know, old BL, where like their cars are very technically strong, right? BL's cars are very technically strong, but they were so badly built and like, style-wise, they fell behind so bad. That's kind of Harley, right? That's kind of Harley, except that even on the technical side, like, Harley still build bikes like it's the 1950s and then put a modern engine in. You know, that kind of thing. With modern in giant air quotes, because they, you know, again, they still build the kind of engines they would have built in the 1950s, but with modern technology behind them, as opposed to, like, you know, adopting more modern styles of engine construction. There is oil on this road. There's a nice line of oil right down the middle. And that's not okay, peoples. It's not okay. Get your car serviced. But, yeah, for a company that is such a joke, to make, like, one of, what, 3 good electric big bikes? It's amazing.